In Parsha'is Boy, this week's Parsha, right before the onset of the 10th and final plague in Egypt, the killing of the Egyptian firstborn, Hashem tells Moshe the first mitzvah, the first of the 613, which is HaChodesh Hazeh Lachem Reish Chadashim. This is how you should set the Jewish calendar and the Jewish months. Nisan should be the first month, and the monthly cycle should work based on the moon. The moon, it takes just about roughly 30 days to starts off tiny. You see it only a small sliver, then it builds till the 15th of the month becomes full, then it wanes again. And that cycle of the monthly cycle of the moon, we should build our months along with the following the orbit of the moon. Now the question could be asked, why now? Why now, as they're leaving Egypt, as they're about to get the 10th plague? Hashem says, wait, hold on. It's important now that you know the Jewish calendar specifically. And why is it that our monthly calendar is based on the moon? So to understand this, we need to notice the main difference between the sun and the moon. The sun is radiant consistently. Every day comes up with the same strength. Its cycle doesn't really change. We see it the same way, day in, day out. Sure, the temperature could be higher and lower, and there could be clouds in the way, but the sun shines. The sun shines in its complete form, day in, day out. The moon is turbulent. The moon never looks the same one day as it did the day before, and the next day we know is always going to look different. The moon, first of all, its orbit in space is much more complicated than the sun's, much more all over the place. And it itself, one day it's big, one day it's small, 1 week it's big, 1 week it's small, one day looking like a ball and one day looking like a banana. So the moon then represents the ability for one to reinvent themselves. That yesterday I could have been someone else. I could have been living based on a certain pattern for years, but today I decide I want to expand my horizons and approach life new and fresh, from a new space and in a more elevated, a more godly, a more inspired and happy way. And this is the fundamental difference between a slave, a victim, and a free man, a free person. A victim is stuck. A slave is stuck. A slave is someone that submits to it is how it is. The way they've been, they just feel a victim of, this has just been my patterns for so many years. This is just the reality of life. I know I could only reach a certain degree of success. I could only reach a certain degree of spiritual growth, happiness, and it's just not going to go any further. So the slave thereby loses his creativity, his ability to be fresh, and his ability to reinvent himself and become something new today. I just can't. Look at my past. My past already set me up for a certain style of life. The way my parents raised me set me up for this. The way I built my family and my children set me up to live this way, so I just can't change it. Society around me all says X, Y, and Z, so I can say nothing else. A free man, one who's really free, and what a Jew is called on to be, is to learn from the moon, to be like the moon. The ability to say that, yes, maybe until now I've been living this way. Maybe until now I only set for myself a very low bar, or I've just been living on autopilot, but today I'm going to wake up fresh. People will ask, people will smile, will laugh, will make comments, but today I'm going to be a free man, and I'm going to try to approach life differently than the day before, just live in the present as if the past and whatever patterns I've begun until now do not exist. And that's what Hashem was articulating to Moshe. Jews count by the moon. Jews create their months should be set by the moon. The difference, in fact, between a Jew and an angel is called an omed, one who stands in one place, and a Jew is called a mahalech, someone that's on the move, that has this of turbulence, that is constantly changing, evolving. Only a human could become a Baal Tshuva, could do real tshuva and can reinvent himself one day to be something totally different to what he was the day before, something that the angels are not capable of. And this says Hashem that now you're bringing the 10th plague. You're no longer going to be slaves. You should learn the patterns of freedom. And you should learn how to tap into this now, being able to be fully present and to approach a new day as a new man with new beliefs, independent of how many times you've been burnt until now. Yet it gets one step more complicated, because the Jewish calendar does not only follow the moon, we follow the sun as well. Where do we see that? This year we have a leap year. The reason why we make a leap year and every 2 to 3 years we add an extra other is because we don't only follow a 12-month cycle based on the moon. If we did that, the holidays would fall out in different seasons. The Torah says that Pesach needs to fall out in the spring, Sukkot needs to fall out in the fall, and if we just followed 12 months based on the moon, the seasons, which are based on the sun, would be off balanced. So every so often we add a leap year, which is to align the lunar calendar with the solar calendar, so the seasons don't go off of the solar year. So what is it? Is a Jew based off of the moon, or is a Jew based off of the sun? And the answer is both. A Jew is able to live by the impossible balance of consistency and turbulence. Our foundations, our core beliefs must be like the sun. What we believe in, who we are, what our morals are, what is my purpose in life, that needs to be rock solid from the day I gain consciousness and awareness to the day I die. Within that shouldn't mean that I suppress my creativity and just live narrowly by this is what I live by, this is what I live by. How can I develop that further? How can I push this along? One day I'll fall, one day I'll rise, but it's all riding the consistent base, the foundations of the sun. This has many applications. In schools are there to give rock solid principles. This is what our Chassidus believes in. This is what our tradition believes in. But if all you're teaching is a tradition of the past and not embracing the creativity and the newness of the students and allowing them to become the best versions of themselves, not just to parrot and repeat what their parents have been doing, you've given them the sun, but you haven't given them the moon. You haven't given them the ability for them to invent themselves further. How do we do both? It's a good question. It's hard to put into words. How are we able to balance a full life of the sun and a full life of the moon? But what we see from our calendar is that it's complex, but it's possible. It's possible for each of us to each day wake up with the same Maida Ani. Hashem, I'm yours. Thank you for waking up and thank you for believing in me today. And you know what? Today I'm going to try something different. Today I'm going to try to approach life with new vigor, new strength, and to open up new horizons in finding my calling and doing your will, maybe in ways that I haven't done until now. And to try to balance in ourselves, in the way we parent, possibly in the way that our marriages with our spouse, which oftentimes man could be compared to the sun, woman could be compared to the moon, or vice versa. And for us to live to this seemingly impossible calling of embracing the never-changing traditions with never-changing and never-faltering faith of the sun, yet with the turbulence and the ups and the downs and the constantly reinventing ourselves and remaining fresh and present of the moon. Just to end off, there's 2 tractates in Gemara that end seemingly contradictory. Mayit Katan, one Masechta of Gemara, ends off saying that Talmidei Chachamim, in the next world, they never have peace. Talmidei Chachamim ein lahem menucha. The Gemara Tamid ends off saying that when Mashiach comes, in the future world, it will be like Yom Shekolai Shabbos u'Menucha. It will just be a world of total content and peace. Which one is it? Is the future world, the world to come, a place of Shabbos and peace, like it says in Tamid? Or is it a place of Ein Lahem Menucha, a place of never content and constant growing? And the answer is yes and yes. That Judaism follows both the sun and the moon. And paradise doesn't just mean to remain content and to turn my engine of ambition and my own desires off. That's called being dead. There's no life if there's no ambition and change and movement. On the other hand, as we all know, just ambition and change and movement without being able to be content and with any bliss is also definitely not paradise and is very brings on a lot of anxiety. Ultimate paradise is when we're able to fully merge both. Ein lahem menucha, the turbulence of the moon, the movement of the moon, the constant changing, together with the backbone, ultimate bliss of the sun, and to correlate those into one calendar and one year. Have a great Shabbos.